Okay. That's you.
Okay.
Okay. So let me get to the online one. So I put kind of as a detail of it, not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. And then it said, psych, you're going to get lots of info just without the hands-on time. This is tailored to where you are. You already know how to shoot, but maybe you need help with client management, posing, or client closet concerns. And then I just kind of talk about how we will go into, I'm going to come back to you guys because I can't see you now, how we will go over a questionnaire to begin so I can see where they're at, where they're most struggling, what they're wanting help with. And then we'll do a Zoom call basically. And then I'll just be available to them through the year for them to reach out with any questions or help.
Perfect. Okay. That just kind of helps me get into the mindset of what that's going to look like. So,
Okay.
All right. Brittany, let's hear yours. What is your focus?
Okay. So my focus is definitely going to be the newborn online course.
Okay.
And I do also, I'm going to be like taking side notes about like group online coaching. But that won't be what my focus is right now. But if someone else is doing it, I'm going to take notes from whatever she says.
I love it.
You guys say. So yeah, the newborn online course.
Perfect. Okay. All right, Amanda.
I think I'll start with everything online at first, but start with a macro course.
Okay.
And then I may eventually add something to that. It'll all be posing for newborns.
Perfect. Okay. And Marina. I think I already know what your answer is going to be, but in case I'm wrong, maybe she's here, maybe she's not. Yes.
Sorry, I'm like trying to switch over my earbuds. I think for me, for now, it's going to be more just establishing my credibility and like kind of starting to, just establish my credibility as a mentor or as more than just a photographer. So I think what I want to do with that is just start hosting shootouts with other local photographers and maybe start a Facebook group.
Okay. I love it. Okay. I'm gonna, hold on. Okay. All right. So we're actually going to answer question number 2 last, obviously, because that should have been the last thing that I said. But anyway, so we're going to skip to number 3, which is the method of delivering your solution. Some of you already answered this. So we're going to answer questions 3 and 4 at the same time, and then we'll dive into all the questions. So Jayla, the method of delivering your online mentorship, what does that look like? And then question number 4, what did you pick as your long form content? Let's go there.
Okay, so obviously the online, I just like them to inquire through the website, and then, we'll work through email to begin, the Zoom call, and then just keep in contact any way that is most efficient for them.
Perfect.
Long term, I am going to start blogging more, but I definitely think the podcast is where it needs to go.
Perfect. I love it. Okay. That sounds great. All right, Brittany, method of delivering your solution. I know you said an online course, so I'm thinking that's kind of the answer you're going to give me. And then your number 4 answer.
So I think I want to use Kajabi, but I don't know anything about it other than being a user on it.
Okay.
And so online.
Okay.
And then I'm still waffling between podcasts and YouTube.
Okay.
My original plan for this year was to do a duo podcast with a friend, but she's too busy. So if I do it, I have to do it myself. So I have to think about that.
Yeah. And something, okay, I want to say something about that too. I guess I'm just like one of those people where I'm like, I don't want this to sound bad, but I'm just going to say it. I'm not the best team player in the world. Okay. So anytime it comes to like when we had class projects, this was me. Seriously, can I do it by myself? Is there an option to do it by myself? And I think it's because it's not that I can't work with other people. It's just that I'm like, it's just things like this. They're too busy. And then I'm like, okay, well, you ruined the plan, and I'm really consistent, and I'm type A and all that stuff. So if you do a podcast, and I'm going to help you determine which one you should maybe do right now. You can always do something later. The way that I would answer this question is think about what you guys are offering in the paid thing. Okay. So what you're offering in your paid thing. Am I teaching more business things? Am I teaching things that someone can truly comprehend by hearing me? Or am I going to go the next level? So like with Amanda, I don't even know what her answer is, but with Amanda, if she's teaching a lot of visual aspects, YouTube makes a little more sense because they're not, like I can't show you, I can't tell you how to pose a client without you seeing me, because then you're missing a crucial piece. So I think for you, it's what are you teaching in your newborn online course? Is it definitely more visual? Is it more hands-on learning? If it is, I'd probably lean toward the YouTube. That's kind of like the question. I think that'll help you kind of choose one or the other. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you can still think about it. You don't have to have your answer today, but I would just think about it a little more, but have an answer for sure pretty soon. So,
Okay.
I love it. Okay. I'm just going to put undecided for now. All right, Amanda, let's hear yours.
Okay, so mine will be online. I'll probably always try to have an online course. I may eventually go to in person, but I think online is a good way to like establish yourself before you start offering something in person.
Yeah.
And I don't know where yet. I kind of hoped you would help me figure that out, but
I will.
YouTube.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have a question for you, Amanda, because there's a couple ways you can go about this, and this might have even been a question that you had. But when you're teaching your online course, you have a choice. It could be a course where people can buy it at any time. But to start, some people will actually do like virtual workshops where it's live and give them an option. And then maybe you could just do that at certain times to where literally it's live every single time you do it. Or you could do it live one time and that turns into your online program or your course or whatever. So I didn't know if you had thought about that, but those are definitely two separate avenues. And so it kind of just depends what you're most comfortable doing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could do either.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to put course or like a live workshop. All right, Marina. I'm going to tell you what I thought your answer was going to be, and then you can tell me what you put. Okay. Since we're focusing really as like positioning you, right? Like we're in that transition phase, and you're still welcome to like map out, like, what would my mentorship look like? Like, what does that process look like if you want to? But one thing is for one of your methods, like how will you deliver your solution at this point? I think obviously, like you mentioned, a Facebook group, or the shootout itself, something like that. So I was just kind of like taking apart what you said and giving you an alternative answer, but you tell me what you put down for your answers.
Yeah, it was the same for now. I think eventually I do want to do one-on-one mentorships locally, but mostly like also have an online course, just because I feel like it's easier to, not that you just like do it and it's done and you don't have to do anything, but it's
we know
easier.
that's not true.
Right. But it's, I don't know, it feels like it would be easier than having to come up with new content every single time.
Yeah.
So I had thought online, like for future, online, and then potentially a podcast. I'm not really sure. I think it'll depend on exactly what I focus on.
I love it. Okay. All right. This is really good. Y'all really put thought process behind this, which makes me excited. So, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cycle through, and I know you guys obviously, I hope, wrote down questions. That's where I want to start. Like, let's get through the pressing questions if you have any. And then this is going to help me come up with, like, a lot of you guys have mentioned podcasts. So here's how you'll do that. I may actually go ask one of my friends to come do a YouTube training for you, because that's her specialty. It's not mine. So you kind of want the expert to teach you, not the person who's never done it before. So I'm going to see if she's available. And then there's a bunch of, I mean, there's just so much. Like I literally planned on showing you, here's exactly how you map out your course or your mentorship or whatever. So I want to start with your questions mainly so I can take notes and coach you now. And then I can kind of like map out, here's where we're going for the next like couple of trainings. So Jayla, I'm going to start with you. Let's do 2 questions each until we like run out of questions. Okay. So let's do that.
Podcast was my number one because I know nothing about that.
Okay.
I don't think the only podcast I've ever listened to is yours.
Oh, I love it.
So that's flattering.
That is flattering.
But my other one is I am really struggling with like how to find your place in the industry, like how to establish my credibility there. Yeah, those 2 are my starters for sure.
Okay, I want to ask some questions back to you about establishing credibility. What does that mean to you?
Just so that I actually, I get messages where people are like, oh, I love your style. I love your work. Do you do mentoring? Which is great. But I'm like, how would you keep that rolling in? How would I actually look like I'm not just somebody stepping in, that I actually have knowledge to bring to the table? I want people to know that, I have a lot to share with them. I'm not the best with words. I kind of go back and forth.
You're good.
And stuff, so I just want to figure out how to streamline it, how to really look like I can bring something and help people grow. My main thing is I did it all in the beginning. And when I finally dove down and did a mentorship, I was like, oh my gosh, I was doing so much backwards that could have been so much easier.
Yeah. Okay. So one way that all of you will establish your credibility is through this method of storytelling, talking about where you've been. I will be the first to tell you that's really hard for me. Some people find that easy. I find that hard. I don't know why. It's something that I'm having to train myself to tell my story, because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why do they give a shit? Why do they care? Literally, like I'm working on another free training to do that's going to pitch my new courses that I'm working on. And I'm like, they're always like, you have to talk about yourself. And I'm like, oh, why would someone care, But then again, I guess like really we all have curiosity, like that's why reality TV is a thing. So the first thing I really want to encourage y'all to do is like talk about where you came from. And this is something this is everyone's homework right now, because the further time passes, the harder this is going to be for you. Ask me how I know. I'm having to remember where I was 8.5 years ago. And my brain is like mush. I don't know what I struggled with in the first month when I decided to pick up my camera. I don't remember. So I'm having to like ask people who are in that current situation. So homework is, where were you? Specifically related to what you're wanting to teach. Where were you when you first started? What did you need to know? What were you confused about? What frustrated you? What were your mindset issues? A lot of us are still carrying very similar mindset issues than we had when we first started. And so that's really important. So really like go back to your former version of where you were, even if it was just a couple months ago. Where were you? For a lot of us, we're years into it now, but like, where were we? That's the biggest thing. So establishing credibility is people have to know where you came from. They have to know your story. They have to know where you've been, or it's not going to relate to them. So that's really the main thing there. Everything else is called social proof. And it's your brand, it's your perspective, it's your testimonials, there's the natural experience that you'll gain. And those are things I can teach you, but I can't teach you your story. So homework number 1, you guys need to go write your story. Okay, let's move on to Brittany. Let's cover 2 questions with you. If you have any, I hope you do.
I do.
Okay, good.
A lot of them are Kajabi related, so I'm going to pause on those and come back.
Yes.
What are some important things that I should keep in mind when planning an online course? And then the other one would be, what makes an online course successful?
Okay, I love those. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to deep dive into all those right now, because what you guys are validating for me is you want to see it going from idea to mapping it out to actually like filling it in. What do I need? What do I need to leave off? So we'll do like an offer build. So this is going to be really good I'll focus it on like course building, but this works for any of you guys. This is the same process that you will take when you are thinking of like your process of mentoring and like, what does that look like? What are the steps? And then everybody's going to have promotional, and I'm going to teach promotional in a separate training. Like, how do I actually build up excitement for this? How do I sell this? All that. So I'm going to write that down for sure. Is going to be all about the whole course process. And we will that's probably what we're going to do the next time we meet. It's all going to be course building, offer building, things like that. I'll talk about a little bit of the tech as well. And then the week after that, we'll figure out where we're going to go from there. So does that help a little bit, knowing that I'm going to answer those questions?
Yeah.
What do you need to know right now for your next step?
Right now I'm trying to write an outline for because I have the videographer coming mid-April. So I should still have time.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're okay. I think I'm okay right now.
Okay. So I also think your question for your outline goes back to the homework piece of writing your story.
Okay.
What did you need to know? And
Okay.
if you can start there, and again, one of the things that you said, like what makes it successful, what do you include, what do you not include? A real short Cliff's Note answer is we can't just put in all this crap and give them more than what they need, or then we get distracted and then we're not getting to the main point. So I want you to think, what is my course promise? If someone buys my course, and we're going to talk about a course promise when we talk about the whole course idea, but what am I promising someone? If they exchange money for me, they purchase my course, they do a mentorship with me, they come to my shootout, what is their end result going to be? It has nothing to do with if they learn something or they don't. It's, if you buy this is my promise, this is what I'm going to teach you. And then whatever, like the accountability is on you, right?
Yeah.
I can't make you do this.
Can you give us an example of one of your courses and what your promise was? So that way.
Yep. Okay. So the new course that I'm building. So what I realized, I don't know, you guys probably heard me talk about this except for Jayla, but everybody's heard me talk about this. When I built the From Broke to Booked blueprint, I never got specific enough on who it was for. Like there were no guidelines to say I'm in that stage of my business for this. I thought that I could serve both the beginner and the established photographer at the same time. Lo and behold, it's not working out that well for me. It is like everybody's learning, but I'm not giving 110% because I'm trying to teach the same person at the same time and I can't do it. So what I figured out was there has to be phase one. There has to be phase two. So moving forward, when I split these programs up, the new course is specifically for someone that is either just getting started or has had a couple of paying clients, but there's no consistency in their business whatsoever. They may or may not be legal. They have no idea what they're doing. They need a guide. My course promise for them is that you're going to come into this course, and by the end of it, I'm going to show you how you can book at least 4 sessions per month, at least 6 months out of the year. That is the course promise. Then it's basically just saying like, from start to finish, A to Z, here's going to be the result that you are going after. Okay.
How can you promise something like that? Because I've also found that it's about what the people put into it. So you can be like, here, silver platter. And then if they don't do what you're telling them to, it's probably not going to work. And then they're gonna be like, oh, actually, Amanda and I think we're talking about this earlier in our group text. It's like, you can tell them that this works and they're like, meh, it don't work, because they don't try.
Because you say the phrase, if you do the work,
okay.
Boom. If you do the work, if you commit to this, if you take these steps, that's where that's at. That's how you do that. It's just one little phrase before it.
If you do the work.
Yep. You have to do, you have to, right? You guys could come.
That's been the most frustrating thing about like helping people. And they're like, well, it didn't work. And I'm like, but you didn't do it. Like 2 weeks have gone by and you haven't mentioned it at all. Like, come on.
I just so yesterday I had to remove a student from my student Facebook group. We're not going to do any names, but I finally removed this person because I'm like, you've been here for almost 2 years. You are harassing people in the group, like going behind my back and telling them how the course doesn't work, but you have not one time ever put the work in. I'm not doing that. You can keep the course material, but you're out. Like, we're done with
Yeah.
this. We're not doing this anymore. And so that's what happened yesterday. And that's my point right there. So, and there's certain things like I'm learning, and you'll learn this too. There's certain price points where you're going to realize I'm getting not the best quality of people in at this price point, which is why my $100 a month price point, that will never be a thing ever again. Like, never again, because I'm getting people who will do it one time, come into the program, have a nice little look at everything, or try to binge watch as much as they can in 30 days. And then they're like, I'm sorry, I can't afford this. It's not working for me. And I'm like, yeah, we can't do that anymore. So these are things that you guys will learn through experience and things like that. And I'm finally pinpointing, like, here's the problem. Here's, like, here's another boundary I'm going to have to put up. So it's things like that. And it'll come with time and experience and all of that. So does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, a lot. Thanks.
Okay, good. Okay, Amanda, let's switch to you for a quick second.
Okay. Let's see, I'm looking through because I have like 1,000 questions, but I
Okay.
figure a lot of this is going to get addressed throughout the mentorship anyway. So I'm going to try to skip some of those. See, how do you determine it, like kind of like you were just talking about, how do you determine how to price something like this? And I know a lot of that depends on what kind of value you're bringing.
Yeah.
But like you said, I personally don't want to have to deal with certain types of people. And that just happens, you can see that with your photography, that when you're priced low, you get certain types of clients. And I've never really been priced low. I don't really want to deal with it, but I don't want to be priced too high either.
Yeah, so I definitely commend you for that too. So again, there's no one price fits all, obviously, we know that. But when you are pricing something, the question you always want to ask yourself is, what is not, okay, first of all, I got to give you all this rant because I've added this rant now into both of my new courses. And it is, I don't believe in charging your worth. If we freaking charge our worth, nobody can afford us. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody can afford us. So that's not, I don't buy into that. I don't listen to people who preach that. That's terrible coaching. That's terrible coaching. So what I believe is that you need to ask yourself, what is the value or return on investment? What can they, what is the potential of what they can make from what I'm teaching them, right? What I'm teaching you guys, right? Like, for this, I gave y'all like a steal of a deal, because what I know is that you're going to be able to turn around and hopefully make thousands one day off of what we're talking about today. Right. And so that's what you're asking yourself. If I teach this newborn photographer really how to get specific and really get these details and learn their technical skills and posing and all those things, what is the value that they are going to make one day? And then what you'll do is you're charging a portion of that, right? Like, you're not going to say, well, eventually you'll make 10 grand off of this, and so I'm going to charge you $10,000. It's not that. It's just, you want them to see the potential of what you're teaching them and what could happen for them, and showing that you're like a sliver of that value. Does that make sense a little bit?
Okay. Yeah.
We will, when we actually get through your course, or we actually map things out, I will give you guys my professional opinion on what I think, where you need to start at least. And the other thing too is, I'm all about market research, especially when it comes to education. Pricing yourself in the education industry is a lot different than pricing yourself for photography services, because it's an online thing at this point. It's not really location based. It has nothing to do with that anymore. It's more like the convenience that you're offering, the years of time you're saving them, the Google searches, the YouTube videos, all those things. And so at that point, you want to do market research, and you want to say, okay, my closest competitor, the first person I can think of that teaches something similar to what I do, that's either like we share followers or they're physically like close to me, you're gonna do market research just to figure out like, where do you fall? Doesn't mean you have to price yourself the same, but you don't want them to be 3,000 and then you lowball it at 500 and vice versa. Like, you don't want it to be that way. So when we map your courses out, or your mentorships, or whatever it is you guys are going to offer, this will be so much easier for me to help you guys. And I will give you guys some professional feedback when we get there. Yeah.
Okay.
What else do you have?
how about like those of us that are wanting to do online courses?
Mhm.
Do you recommend that we hire a videographer to come in and film those? Or is that something that you can kind of do it yourself? Or does that not look as professional? Like, I've seen both.
I've seen both too. The best answer is to hire it out. And I know like at first you're like, well, I'm putting in all this money, but honestly, if you can get it right the first time, you're going to save yourself thousands later or having to redo it or whatever. I would highly recommend, and I'm actually going to have to do this for my newest course at some point this year. I will get another videographer to come in. And I've done this 3 times now, and I've done it myself. I hired somebody that has like no experience, and like we bought the mic and all that stuff. I really think that it's just so much easier to hire it out and just get it right the first time, especially for yours, because
Right.
it's got to be done right. And you're going to need someone that knows what they're doing, because you're not going to be able to put it on a tripod and walk away. You've already said that, right? You're like, no, like they have to be like, it's almost like I have to wear a GoPro to show you what it looks like from my.
Right. And I may do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would do one of those for sure. For sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, Marina, let's answer some of your questions.
So I feel like they had a lot of the same ones that I did.
That's okay.
So that helped. But I think the main one is, how do you stand out? Like, is it, because I feel like it feels like a lot more people now are coaches or mentors in some way, shape, or form. So I've also been having a weird week, like mentally. So part of me is like, what the heck am I doing? Like, so that's, I guess, where that's coming from. So how do you stand out in what feels like an oversaturated market? And how do you create something that someone can't just go and Google or YouTube?
Okay.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to answer the second to last question first. Someone can go Google and YouTube and podcast and listen to all the free information. Absolutely. They could do that. But how much faster could they do it from having a mentorship with you in 1 or 2 hours and learn all that information instead of piecing it together from multiple people? So first of all, there's nothing new under the sun. Okay. And number 2, someone absolutely can go learn all this by themselves on their own time, through experience, the way that you did, and investing in someone else if they wanted to. However, most people are looking for quicker solutions. And that's you, and that's me, and that's Jayla and Brittany and Amanda, right? And so we're not trying to look for people who would rather do it the free and slow way. We're looking for people that want to invest in themselves and they see your value. The second part to your question was, how do you stand out? Number 1, Marina, you already stand out online. You and Jayla, for sure. And I'm not saying Amanda and Brittany don't, but like Instagram thinks I'm in love with y'all, and I am. But yeah, like every time I log in, you two have a new reel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they are killing it. Like they are killing it. And so I just saw yours, Marina, either this morning or last night or whatever it was. And I am like, it's amazing. And so you're already standing out by doing what you're doing. Do not lose sight of that. There's nothing more that you guys need. It's staying true to yourself. It's connecting to those people. It's being yourself. And so I'm going to flip the question, and I'm not asking this so you guys can boost my ego. I'm just curious. What is it about me that helps me stand out among other coaches and educators and things like that? And we'll just all take turns, but we'll start with Marina, since that's your question. What is it about me that you like, you trust, whatever? What is it?
I think the first one is just that you're very open, and like you really do live out community over competition, and you're very blunt, for lack of a better word. Like you're not going to sugarcoat it, and you're gonna, like, you're a cheerleader, but you're more of a coach. You're really like no BS. Like, I'm going to tell you like it is, but I'm also here for you 100%. And that I feel like was what attracted me to do yours.
I love that. Okay, Jayla, Brittany, what are some things about me that you, especially Jayla, I'm curious to hear, because you're actually like not in my program. I kind of gave you like the, hey, just like, let's do this thing. I'm just curious because you really, this is the only way you have ever heard me truly like coach besides my podcast. So what is it about me that made you want to work with me or follow me or whatever?
Well, like you said, I'm super active on social media. And so I just kind of came across your stuff. I've been watching it for a while. I'll just see like your posts or your stories and stuff. And I just felt connected to you, period. Like you just seem like you have the best soul and you're just in it for all the right reasons. It's not like a money maker to you. It's, hey, I can make money at something I'm amazing at, but I'm doing this for something totally different, and I'm going to profit from it because I can and make a living and help others. But I definitely, I talked to you about doing the broke to blueprint, but I wasn't like at the spot where I needed to do that. I definitely, and that's where I've thought like, okay, mentorship is where I need to be. I've done some mentorships, but I'm like, it's not building so much the photography business unless I want to do that in Arizona anymore, because it's definitely sustainable. It's replaced all my incomes. Like I've really been able to do that. And I have like, there's not a slow season anymore. I don't even know what that is. I wish I did. But I looked at your stuff and I was like, I need somebody that's cause anybody I talk to, it's very cutthroat. Like, oh, you're going to start mentoring. Well, good luck with that. Like, don't want to help you. You were learning from me and now you want to go do this. So I signed up for some workshops this year. And before I did it, it was kind of like I reached out to you but you were teaching mentorship, but I'm doing a workshop with Kayla Locke and I'm doing a workshop with Dawn Potter. And I was like, hey, I just want you ladies to know I am working on building a mentorship. I'm not going to steal what you're doing, but I never want to stop learning. Never. And I want to do it with people that understand that and are willing to share their knowledge and know that in turn, everything I do learn, I'm obviously going to put it out there, but in my own story. And I feel like you understood that. You were like, that is fine. I'm here to help. And it was like Marina said, the competition, is not an issue. It's all about community.
Oh my gosh. I love this. This is like therapy. Okay.
You're like, okay.
I mean, I just like, thank you, Lord. It's been a tough week. Definitely it has helped. Okay. I promise I'm not doing this for my ego, but I also don't want to silence anybody else. So Brittany and Amanda, I'm going to give you a turn.
Who do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Mine's a little, I'm not a very emotional person, so those are really sweet, but mine's like a really like strategic. I like that you give actionable steps. It's like do this, and then you can like really take those, and like it's just really good for my like how I process things. And so it just listening to your podcast immediately hooked me in there. And then I just like, okay, well now I'm going to do this with Brooke. Now I'm going to do this with Brooke, because you just keep, like, you never run out of information to give. And it's always like something like write your story, you know what I mean? Like just very like step-by-step actions. I like that.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Amanda, I love logic. So that's perfect.
Okay. Well, I came across your podcast first. And after listening for a few months, I realized that you were probably the only person I had ever listened to that actually gave you real steps for free without, usually it's like, oh, come listen to my podcast. This is my lesson, but it's always a pitch for their course.
Yeah.
But they don't actually tell you anything. Like you actually give. And see, I've signed up for courses before where they say this in the podcast, you get all excited, you sign up, and then it's a huge letdown. Like it's stuff that is so basic. And maybe it's just because I've been doing this for 15 years, 12 years professionally. So sometimes I get in there and I'm like, oh, God, this is so boring. Yeah. I know a lot of the steps that I need to take because I've done it for so long, but I think I've told you before, my big thing is having 7 kids. I've always been really overwhelmed. I have a lot going on. I have 2 special needs kids on top of that. And it was like the time blocking. When we did the time blocking thing, I was like, oh, where's this been all my life? I even did it with chores at home. Like, I'll show you a picture of my chore chart now. It's awesome. All my kids are cleaning the house.
Oh, I
I
love
haven't done dishes in a month. But the other thing was,
Amazing.
I have signed up for some really expensive courses that have been, I'm not going to name any names, but the last one that I did, everybody talks about it. It's an IPS course. And it's very much like, here's my price list, copy my price list, copy my offerings, and you're going to find success. And they don't tell you anything about how to market to get clients that are going to spend $3,000 on a photo session. They just kind of throw you to the wolves, and they really truly believe it will work anywhere. It works for me. I live in California. It's going to work for you in your little cow town of 1,000 people. You know, like, I do believe that it can work some places, but I don't believe that I have clients here that consistently will spend $3,000-$4,000 on their portrait session. I don't believe it.
Mhm.
And you sign up for this and you try to get troubleshooting, and they don't help you. They say, it's not working for you, you're doing something wrong. You were different. I remember I sent you an email before I signed up for the blueprint, and I was like, listen, this is what I just finished. I've done it for a year. It's not working. I'm not asking you for any like details about your program, but I've listened to your podcast. I felt like you fully understood that there's not like a one size fits all method.
Yep.
And you're like the only educator that I have ever heard say that. But it's something I've truly believed. And then I started thinking I was crazy. Like, Amanda, you're nuts. You're just not making this work.
Oh my gosh, this is such good feedback. And I didn't do this to build myself up, but I wanted you guys to see 4 perspectives of why you all chose me. And it's not all for the same reason, right? You guys have commonalities.
Yeah.
You guys are like, yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah. Or, oh, I had no idea. Like, you guys would have never known that Amanda and I talked first. And I wasn't like, oh, just buy the course and we'll just see what happens. No, I like left the ball in her court. I take the time to tell people, is this even going to help you? Brittany and I discussed my program too, and this, and I never, like, it's not about the money for me. I mean, yes, thank you. You guys help support my kids. We're doing all the sports. And it's great. But at the same time, like, it's never about that. And so, like I said, it's the way that you are, it's what you're naturally, the way that you talk, it's your personality, it's your values, it's how you decide to show up. And I don't do any of that for show. And I think it's really easy, especially those of you that have spent a lot of time on Instagram. I have muted a lot of educators that are supposed to be my peers. I don't like the way they're doing it. I can tell who's posting things for show. I can tell who is putting the BS out there, and it makes me sick to my stomach knowing that once upon a time, like, I told people to go use them. Like, it makes me sick because I know they're not as genuine as I thought they were. Anyway, we could go on for days, but to answer that question, Marina, standing out is literally like, you keep doing what you're doing. And I can teach you the marketing behind, like, now here's how you sprinkle in what you have to offer. Here's how you communicate your value. And quite honestly, like, sometimes I wonder if I give too much away for free, but apparently not, because it's still working. So there you go. So that's the main thing there. Did you ask me 2 questions, or was that one? Like, I literally lost myself 15 minutes ago. So.
No, yeah, that was 2.
Okay.
It kind of like went together, but yeah.
It did go together. That's right. Okay. All right. We're going to go one more time. If you have a pressing question, let's do it. We've got a little less than 20 minutes. And then I've got tons of notes here for like where I know we for sure have to go. But okay, Jayla, back to you.
You can skip me right now. I have nothing super pressing.
All right, Brittany.
Yeah, mine are all like technology and marketing type things.
Okay, tell me a little bit about marketing. I won't answer them, just so that I know, like, this is what's going through your head. What are your
literally, that's what I have wrote down. How do you suggest marketing it?
Okay, great.
There you go.
Okay, I got it. Perfect. That is so thorough. All right.
Straight to the point.
I love it. Okay. Amanda.
let's see. A lot of mine is technical too, and I will probably
That's okay.
get to
Just
all
like
of that,
throw the
but
topics at me so I know for sure that I answer them.
it's mainly about like the best site to host for
Okay.
like online things or selling, like how do you begin to market yourself as an educator if you're not like super well known?
Love it. Okay. Okay, Marina, what else?
I think just a couple more, like, how do you balance your like actual session clients, and then like once you add the coaching or mentorships, like how do you balance that and still serve both? And then
I'm just gonna, it's hard, period. And then we'll talk about like practical ways coming up soon for that too. Okay.
just where do you get most of your clients from? Like, is it social media? Is it, which I guess goes into the marketing, maybe we'll touch on that later, but.
Perfect. Okay. Is there anything, this is for everybody, is there anything random too that you're curious about? Example being, how do you start a Facebook group for education for other photographers? That's just like a example. Just random things. What's anything you're like, if I could sit down with Brooke and ask her a question about how she did this, here's my question. I know.
I will say what you just said, but I mean, I know how to start it, but how do you grow it?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see where most of your people come from. Like what marketing avenue you feel like is your most successful?
I will answer
for-
that right now. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
It's my podcast.
Okay.
My
Kinda
podcast.
feeling.
Believe
And
it.
when
I think we were all like podcast.
it's podcast. The podcast is where the trust is built 1000%. But here's the thing. I'm definitely going to teach you like different marketing methods of like, here are some options, pick two, do with it for a little while. I also really want to talk about like email marketing also during this program, because I'm not the best at it, but it still works. Like it still works. And I don't think that you have to be the best at it, but I also think that that's how I get a lot of people on my email. I think that's where honestly, like a lot of people go to my website, they find one of their free resources. We're going to talk about that too, right? It's the funnel. We're going to talk about funnels. I know you guys are like, oh yeah, that was my question and I forgot. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about funnels. But when they get your free thing, they are on your email list. And then sometimes it's that email oftentimes that they get where you're like, here's your free thing, download it. Also, I have a Facebook group, and it's just kind of like growing it. I'm excited to teach y'all about all of that fun stuff. One thing that I do ask in my Facebook group is, and I have always done this from day one, how did you find out about me? If you don't even have a Facebook group right now, go put it on your leads form. How did you hear about me? And either give them a drop down option or let them fill it in themselves. It's so crucial. You have to track where your people are coming from. I teach this to you photographers. How do you know where to market? Well, where's your number one, flow of clients coming in? If it's word of mouth, you need to do more retention strategies. You need to have referral programs, things like that. If you are mainly getting people from Instagram, you need to go put way more eggs into that basket than you have in Facebook, where you're getting 2 clients a year. Like that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are like, well, I don't like that platform. Well, if your clients are DMing you and that's where you're getting everybody, you better learn to like it or outsource it, because that's it. Okay. Anything else that came up? Sorry.
Made me think about email. I don't know what to send other photographers that I'm not already putting in like the Facebook group, or do I just reuse the same information? Yeah. Okay.
I gotcha. For sure. I gotcha. Okay. Anything else that comes to mind? Like I said, you guys are basically helping me build what you're going to learn. I think it's really important, especially because this is the first time I've ever been like, let me teach you some things on a business side.
I have one.
Okay.
When you're creating your course, what do you decide what to put into it? Like if it's something like what I'm talking about doing, that's, more on the technical side and not so much mentoring,
Mhm.
but what do you decide to put in it? Like, okay, I teach you how to shoot your macros. Would you also include editing in there as well? And then maybe like a PDF that they can print out? And I think you're probably going to say yes, because it seems like we get PDFs throughout your program too. That way, it's not just visual.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions back. Do my PDFs help you implement anything, or do they become a download on your computer you never open again? I'm just curious.
I always look at your PDFs, and usually I'll take little notes from them. Sometimes I print them out and like keep them because I have like this huge notebook that's nothing but Brooke notes. So yeah, sometimes I will put them in there. I do. I have my own Brooke. It's huge. It's a
Oh
huge
my
notebook.
I love it.
And I just shove it all in there because otherwise I'll lose it. If it's on my computer, it's probably at some point will get deleted.
Okay.
But I'll take my highlighter and I go through it. Now, I don't know how much a PDF would help people with macro images, or whether
because I would take your course whenever you get it. I'm going to take it because I like to do macros for newborns. I'm already ready. I'm like your first customer here. I want to know how you shoot it. I want to know about settings. And since you said something about how you like compile those images together, I would want to see editing too. Cause I'm like, what? I can use Photoshop. But when you said that, I was like, I don't get it. But so show me. Yeah.
And see, I'm not even that strong at Photoshop, but like, that's something I've always done.
You're
from
better
the very
than
beginning,
you
is stacking
probably are
images.
better than I am. Whenever you said that, I was like, oh, what that means. So
Yeah.
show me.
Yeah.
Show me.
So Amanda, you're probably like 3 steps ahead of Brittany on that. And that's all you need to be. That's all someone's looking for. Hey, okay, so here's the thing. I don't want to learn from someone that's an 8-figure earner when I'm still a 5-figure earner, right? Which is not true. I'm using that as an example, but like, for instance, I'm not going to go from 6 figures to 8 figures. I'm going to look for the 7-figure person to teach me how to get there before, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't need to worry about, they're not like, if you're famous, like I'm never going to ask to do a mentorship with Jenna Kutcher. Okay. Just let that sit for a minute. Okay. She's way out there. Okay. She's way gone. She's way above me. She's even like not even really that much related to what I'm trying to do anymore at all. Right. And so I'm done with that. I'm looking for someone that's like, hey, I jumped into the education industry about 5 years ago. Cool. I've been in it 2.5, 3 years now. And I want to work with the 5 or the 6 year. Same thing for you guys. Right? Like I'm only 3 steps ahead of you guys, but I'm reaching back and I'm like, here we go. Like, let's go. Come on. And I hope many of you will surpass me. I think that's awesome. That'd be great. So anyway, so just like keep that in mind.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah. I like what Brittany said though. Like, yes, I guess the way to ask this is, if I teach this, is this enough for them to take what I've taught them and really run with it? Or am I missing a crucial piece? So if I teach them to do this pose, but really the only way to get that pose is through a composite image, you have to teach the composite part too, right? Because otherwise they're missing a piece. So think about it like that. Does that help? Okay.
Yes, very much.
Okay. Anything else? And then we're going to chat some homework.
I have a question kind of for everyone real quick. So I've been, I did really good with my Instagram the last like year or so, but lately I've felt like it's like in a huge slump. So for the people who are really good at Instagram, if you, I know post reels, all the things, and I feel like I do the things, but if you ever like can come across my Instagram and look at it and be like, this is what you probably need to change, or whatever, I would really appreciate it, just because I feel super stuck right now. And it's frustrating.
I love that. So one of the things that we'll talk about, and yes, guys, like jump in, do it today, do it tomorrow, do it next week for each other. I think that's awesome. What I think we'll do is when we start talking about establishing credibility, like we talk about marketing, we're going to talk about this. Like, well, how do I take my Instagram and speak to photographers and photographers and local clients? Like, how do I take the one thing right? And eventually, one of you guys already asked me like about balancing. Eventually, you'll probably have to pick one or the other. And it's your preference. It's your season of life. It's where do you want 80% of your income to come from? That's what you're going to position it as. If you guys go to my Instagram right now, you'll be able to tell me what I chose as my 80%. Does anyone have a guess?
I think it's mentoring.
Yeah, it's education. I want to teach people how to
education.
build business, right? And you'll be able to tell because I'm not asking for local clients. I'm asking for photographers to hire me now, right? So one day you'll get there, but yes, we're definitely going to piece together all of that. But I think it'd be helpful just for you guys just to give a look and like just look at each other's social media accounts and just give some feedback. We'll make that a homework item. So I only have two. Well, I have three. We'll do three things.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah, go for it.
By changing your Instagram to really focusing in on your mentorships, have you booked more photography clients also, or has it stayed pretty much the same or lessened?
I would say it stayed pretty much the same. Yeah, there was no drop. Now I will say I'm literally in the slowest season I've ever had in my business. Like I'm talking about my local photography business, but I just think it's a combination of the world of the political, the economic, like the health crisis, still just like everything. And I just think people are just like, we're not spending any money because we have no idea what's happening. And we're in 7.5% inflation right now. And people are crazy if they think that doesn't affect your business. So I'm just saying that for anybody else. If you're like, this time last year, people were getting stimulus checks. People had extra money. We don't have that this year. It's also
now we're paying them back.
Yeah, it's winter, it's tax season. It's look at all the crap going on in the world. I promise the sun will shine again. It always does. Okay. So the world's not ending. If it is, I welcome you. But if it's not, right, like it's probably not. We've been having wars for long time. I just want to say, like, it's okay. It's normal. Your business, if you're not ready for the roller coaster, you should probably exit the program now, because you're going to have really good years. You're going to have really good seasons. You're going to have really low seasons where you say, I don't know how we're going to do this, right? Which I hope you're like not spending all your profits and having, like build up, be smart about your money. But like right now is one of those seasons where I'm like, we can't buy anything extra because I don't know what the next 2 months holds, like I'm not scared, but I'm just kind of like, maybe we should So so does that help? That kind of went on a rant. But I'm just telling you, yes, I have never seen a significant drop just because I'm speaking more to photographers. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay. Homework. Number 1, write your story. Y'all already knew that one because I've already said that. Let me just type this out because I don't write as fast. So we're going to write your story. Number 2 is you guys are going to, I'm going to call them social media audits. Just give each other a social media audit. Just give them a couple opinions. There's nothing major that you're looking for. It's just like, here's my honest opinion of your social media. Here's something you could do better, whatever. Okay. No pressure here. And then the last thing is I want you guys to start outlining your courses. And I know you guys are like, you said you were going to teach us that. I am. I'm going to teach that to you next Friday, or not next Friday, but the next Friday that we meet. We're going to talk all things outlining your offer, putting it together, tech questions, things like that. But I want you to start outlining this, because if you come into it with nothing, this is going to be really hard. If you come into it with at least something you can edit and audit and stuff, it's going to be better. So you're going to outline your offer. And again, ask yourself, write your story first and then go back. What do I need to know in this season or in that season of my business? What does my person want me to teach them? What do they need? What are the tangibles, right, Brittany? What are the tangibles? What are the action
tangibles?
Yeah. And then just write that out. And the way you write it out is like, here's for sure, like at least like those of you that have a course from me, literally log in. My modules are categorized, right? And then the lessons that have to go with that, they're under there. Just kind of think about it like that. And then we'll put it all together in the next lesson that we do together. Does that help? Okay, a little bit of homework. Number 1 will take you the longest. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Writing your story. Yes, Brittany.
I remembered another one I need to ask. So for your okay, so we each have like something pretty specific that we're getting into, and back whenever and whatever month we did my one-on-one, we kind of niched my photography group into
Yep.
family and mini sessions, but now I'm changing it to family and newborn. So for long form content, for the course, I'm doing a newborn thing. But I don't want to be only niched into newborns. I want to also help family photographers. Do you think that's too broad for men education niche, or do I need to stick with one or the other? Or can I do both?
You can do both. We're starting with one
Mhm.
course, right? We're
Okay.
starting with the
Yeah.
one thing, and you chose newborns for now. So don't get
Yeah.
distracted. Don't be like, okay, and now I'm going to start working on my family course. One thing at a
Right.
time.
But
Yeah.
like if I'm going to start a long form content, I don't want it to only be newborn.
No, then you're going to
stuff.
talk
Okay.
to both people. Yeah, you
Okay.
will talk to both because most of the time what you can teach families is newborn photographers fall under that family
Yeah.
category.
Okay.
So I would say you're mainly like after the family and the newborn aspect, and then people are going to come in with the different offers. That's something else that I've had to for a long time. I wanted to say I help non-wedding photographers, but then I'm like, well, I also don't help commercial photographers. I don't really help branding photographers. You know what I'm saying? Like I can,
Yeah.
don't want to, but I can. And so just, don't overthink it. But I would definitely take the mini session thing off and go
I
straight to
did,
family
yeah.
and newborns. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
you can talk about mini sessions,
'Cause
right?
it falls under. Yeah.
As a category, but it's no longer your focus because originally you were going to be like the go-to for mini sessions. Does that make
Yeah, I
sense?
know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't overthink this part yet.
Okay.
Don't do anything major. Don't
Okay.
do anything major yet. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Anything else before we go? This was a jam-packed hour.
It was good.
Yeah. I'm weird. I'm like, I feel like I don't deliver if I don't have slides to show. I'm just one of those people. I'm very methodical, right? There has to be a method. So the fact that I've had 2 calls with y'all and there's been no slideshow, I'm like, I hope they got something out of it.
No, today was really helpful.
Good.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Just knowing where we're going, that helps.
Good.
And we have
me-
tangible steps to take.
Exactly.
Yes, me knowing what you need is going to allow me to go put these trainings together for those tangible steps. So yes, it's gonna be good. Okay, guys, have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome week because we have another week we got to get through before I'll see you guys again. Please utilize. It sounds like you guys are utilizing a little bit, talking outside of here, which is great. And then use it for your social media audits too. And I can't wait to hear some of your stories and your outlines. And we're going to dive all into mapping out your offers and all that good stuff the next time we meet. All right. Have an awesome weekend. Bye, guys.